Namaste. So,
Namaste.
I think we start. Sadashivasamaramabha Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Ekadantam Mahakayam Taptaganchana Sannibham Lambodaram Vishalaksham Vandeham Gananayakam. Shadananam Kunkumaraktavarnam Mahamatim Divyamayuravaham Rudrasya Sunam Surasainyanatham Guham Sadaham Sharanam Prapadde. So, today we are actually going to discuss about the Karaka planets, the 7 Karakas, or also called as the Sapta Karakas. The word Karaka means the one which signifies, or the one which create, or one which manifests. So each Karaka is actually connected with a certain attribute of our life, and that Karaka is actually said to be the planet that is suggestive of the previous karma that manifested inside us in this life. So there are like many types of karma. There are sanchita karmas, there are prarabdha karmas, there are agami karmas. And inside that, the prarabdha karmas, the karma that is already manifested, is mentioned by the Karaka planets. So there are like 2 types of Karakas, which we call the Sthira Karakas and the Chara Karakas. Sthira Karakas are actually planets which are permanently connected to certain attributes. For an example, what is the planet that is always, irrespective of everything, connected to the mind?
Moon.
Yes, Moon. The planet that is always connected with relationship.
Venus.
Yes. So that permanent connection is actually what we call the sthira karakas. So they are important in any horoscope, irrespective of the ascendant and irrespective of the state of the horoscope. They are actually important for that purpose of life. Why? Because they are actually representing that energy that is the most important for that purpose in life. Because Venus is the the planet that controls the energy of the harmony. And because of that, it is essential for any relationship to stay as a relationship. The harmony is very, like, it is part of the existence of that thing. Because of that, Venus in any horoscope, it is actually the karaka that is connected with um, relationship. But when it comes to the personal horoscope, when it comes to the horoscope of the person, for that particular horoscope, there is certain planets which are connected with certain attributes, or there is certain planets which are connected with the karma, or like the previous life karma for certain attributes. And those planets are called as the charakarakas, or sometimes for simply understanding, just karakas. So karakas or charakarakas are actually specific to the horoscope, specific to the horoscope, and they are actually indicating the previous life karma, not just one life, but the whole karma from the whole previous lives, which actually made the different attributes of our life. So that actually, that planet has got a significance inside suggesting the different attributes which we see. That means that attribute of our life, there are 7 attributes which are heavily influenced by the previous life, is what actually has been indicated by the Caracas. So there are only 7 planets are actually considered to be eligible for the title of the Caracas. So Rahu and Ketu are not considered, but Rahu is considered as the Bandhakaraka. Bandhakaraka means the planet that signifies bounding, or like bonding. And Ketu is called as the Moksha Karaka, the planet that signifies breaking of the bonding, or like the liberation. So Rahu is considered as the Karaka of connection in the sense like bondings, which we call the Maya. And Ketu is considered to be the one that breaks that, or the Karaka of breaking that, which is called as Moksha. So they are actually considered in that way, but otherwise they in the set of the Charakarakas, they are not considered. There is only 7 planets. That is the major 7 planets. They are the only ones which we consider for them. So for each horoscope, each planet, each person, one planet will be the signifier of one attribute. Signifier means it is what shows the status of us in the whole totality of the previous life, which means that the 7 cardinal aspects of a person's life that is determined, or like that is heavily influenced by the previous life karma, is actually what the karakas are indicating. Among them, the first karaka is actually called as the Atma Karaka, or like the signifier of the soul, or like the planet that shows the status of your soul in its journey through all the previous lives. So if we take an integrated total existence of our previous lives, how, in what status, in what dignity, in what authority our soul was, is what actually considered as Atmakaraka. So it shows the state, the situation, the factor that formed your soul, or in the sense like soul there actually means not like the soul alone, it is actually the combination of soul and intelligence. So it shows the intelligence, it shows the potential, it shows whatever you have acquired, whatever you have carried forward from your all the previous lives. So in from all the previous life, what qualities of the intelligence are you actually carrying forward that is established by the Atmakaraka? So, what exactly is your status in this life will be explained by what will be your status in this life is explained by
I'm guessing Dara Karaka, but I'm just guessing.
no. I'm saying asking about this life. So your status in this life will be actually explained by your ascendant, your lagna, or in a very rare occasions, or like in an say 30% occasion, your moon sign, or like your moon house. That is the present. What exactly is the past? So from what status your soul has came into the present status? What exactly was the point from where, or like the circumstances that created this state for that soul, or like the circumstances that actually manifested into your this life? So what karma in the previous lives made your soul into what exactly it is right now is actually indicated by the Atmakaraka. So your soul's status very strong in this life, and very your Atmakaraka is generally very weak. What does it means?
That there
Again,
is a lot of karma.
before that, I should explain what exactly is Atmakaraka. Atmakaraka is the planet that is having the highest ascension in your horoscope. That means in one Rashi is one Rashi means one sign means 130 degrees means inside that the planet which is having the maximum ascension inside a Rashi. So if you have sun in 20 degrees of Aries, moon in 21 degrees of Taurus, Mars in 22 degree of Gemini, Venus in 23 degree of Cancer, Jupiter in 24 degree of Leo, Mercury in 25 degree of Virgo, and Saturn in 26 degree of Libra. Your Atmakaraka is the planet that is having the highest of the degrees inside a Rashi, which is Saturn, which is having the its position is 26 degree inside the Libra. So please understand your Atmakaraka is not a strength based thing. It is actually a mathematical thing. It is actually how much rising that planet has got in that Rashi, in whichever Rashi it is located, it is situated, to what heights it has been climbed inside that Rashi. That is actually what the Atmakaraka means. So if you have Sun in Saturn in 1 degree of Scorpio, Jupiter in 10 degree of Sagittarius, Venus in 5 degrees of Capricorn, Mercury in 15 degrees of Aquarius, Moon in 20 degrees of Pisces, Mars in 25 degrees of Aries, and Sun in 29 degrees of Libra. which planet is the Atmakaraka?
Sun.
Exactly. So that concept is clear. So even though Sun is actually debilitated in the Libra, it still is the Atmakaraka. So Atmakaraka does not connect with any other thing. In which house doesn't matter. In which strength doesn't matter. It only matter. The only thing that matters is how much ascended it is, how much in a high degree it is. So that is called as the Atmakaraka. And the Atmakaraka signifies the status of your intelligence, your potential, your abilities. So if you have a strong Atmakaraka and a very weak ascendant in your horoscope of this, which it means that you actually dissented in life, which means your past is way more glorious than your present, which means you dissented in life. So the momentum of the life is to come down. So the life is actually a downward sloping curve, which means that if you're not very careful, it will continue in that position.
Dr. Vikas, sorry, just so does it mean if it's weak, that means that it even the highest ascending planet is relatively low in a sign? Is that what does it mean, that it's weak, or is it weak in position in
It
terms
is
of
weak in position,
okay,
which
in
means
sign?
Sun is the Atma Karaka, like in the earlier example, but is in the Libra. Means
Yeah.
that Sun is very
Yeah.
weak. That means your Atma
Yes.
Karaka is weak.
Yeah, clear.
Compared to that Atmakaraka, your state of the ascendant is strong. Compare, imagine. Like there is good
Yeah.
planets in the ascendant, the Lord of Ascendant is powerful. Your status of ascendant is actually strong compared to the Atmakaraka. It actually represents an ascending life. That
Okay.
means compared to the previous life, your
Yeah.
actual position of this life is higher, which means you are actually ascending. It
Yeah.
also means that you have did way more good karma in the previous life than the bad karma. It also means that your natural tendency of the horoscope is to go up because it is already in the momentum to go up.
Mm-hmm. Clear.
Which also means that your previous life is comparatively much lesser life than your this life.
Yeah.
Which also means that the way of your life's development is how you actually control the tendencies of the previous life and adapt more to the tendencies of this life.
Okay.
So that is the connection between Atmakaraka and the ascendant, the first house.
Super. Thank you.
Now, second planet, the second most degree planet, the planet which is having the highest degree other than the Atmakaraka, is called as Amatyakaraka. Amatyakaraka shows your work. What makes an ascendant weak? That's a good question. Slightly at the wrong place because it is a question for the ascendant, but still, ascendant is any house, not just ascendant. Any house is strong or weak based on the planets that is staying there, the planets that is aspecting there, and the planet that is controlling the lord of that sign. So any bhava, any house is strong or weak based on that. That means if a sign has got malefic planets, if a sign has got bad planets inside that, it weakens that sign. If a sign has got a bad planets aspecting, it weakens that sign. If a sign has got the lord of that sign is very powerless, it weakens that sign. That is the three levels of weakness. Strength also, it is like that. Exalted planet in a sign enhances that sign. Debilitate or like, how do they? Exalted planet aspecting a sign enhances that sign. The lord of that sign aspecting a sign enhances a sign. The lord of his sign staying in that sign enhances that sign. And the lord generally strong enhances the sign. So that is, it is not just for ascendant, it is true for every sign. And another common rule is the stronger the sign is, the better the result. The stronger the sign is, the better is the result. That means benefic planets aspecting the 8th house. Any sign aspected by benefic planets will increase in strength. Benefic planets aspecting the 8th house enhances the 8th house. So it actually gives more strength to the 8th house. More strength to the 8th house means that less disease. So stronger the sign, any sign, stronger the sign, more good. Better the sign, more good. So even the dusthanas, even the 6, 8, 12, better it is, less will be its negative impact. So I hope that is clear what makes a sign strong or weak. Now, the second planet, which is having the second highest degree after the Atmakaraka, is called as the Amatya Karaka. Amatya means a minister, or like somebody who manages, like in the world, like secretary for the work, things like that. Amatya Karaka controls the work, or like Amatya Karaka signifies, it is not even correct to say control. Amatya Karaka signifies the work you were actually doing. Of course, it will have an impact on the work that you are actually doing in this life, because if you are actually doing a work that is connected with Amatya Karaka, it will be much easier for you, because it is a work that you are doing for a long time. So it is much easier for you to continue in that work. Amatya Karaka shows the work that you are actually doing and that you are actually maximum familiar with. And a strong Amatya Karaka means you were doing great things. And you will you be continuing that in this life, or will you be not continuing that in this life, is connected with which planet, which house?
10.
The 10th house. Yes. So Amatyakaraka is actually directly connected with the 10th house. Just like Atmakaraka is connected with the first house and the 5th house, Amatyakaraka is directly connected with the 10th house. So basically, Amatyakaraka shows what works were you are doing, which makes all of that work more easy for you, more accessible for you. You will get the previous life memories if you are engaging in that work. If your Amatyakaraka is weak or complicated, it means that you are doing works which are not suitable for you in the previous life. So you need to not go towards that type of work which is accessible from the planet of the Amatyakaraka. You should not go for that. For an example, if your Amatyakaraka is sun and that sun is complicated or weak, which means that you are doing something that is connected with light, like healing, like working on the science, things like that in your previous life, and you experienced a lot of complications in that. If you are still doing that thing in this life, it will actually trigger the traumatic memories of that previous complications and complicate your work in this life also. So it is not good to follow the work of the Amatya Karaka if it is weak or complicated. If your Amatya Karaka is Venus, don't, and it is weak and complicated, don't work in areas connected with finance and entertainment. What are the works connected with Saturn? That is a question to ask to Saturn, which is in your notes. But still, the works that are connected with Saturn is anything that is connected with restoration. Saturn actually is the planet that prevents degeneration and brings restoration. Any work that is connected with metals and machines, Saturn. Any work that is connected with land, like agriculture, things like that, Saturn. Any work that is connected with metals and minerals, Saturn. Any work that is connected with uh, the undesirable works, for an example, like mortuary, or like surgery, or like undertakers, Saturn. Yeah, of course, buildings included. Saturn is actually the planet to decide which buildings to be demolished and which buildings to be restored. And any work that is connected with demolition and destruction, Saturn.
Dr.
Any
Vikas?
work that is connected with management, Saturn. That means where to put whom, Saturn.
Sorry, Dr. Vikas, could you explain generally what you mean by restoration? Because, I mean, that could be applied to so many areas of life. So I just wanted to, and it sounds like Saturn mostly has to do with like material, very real things, but I just wanted to clarify.
Restoration actually means so if something is decaying, you bring back the form to that. You're actually bringing it back to the form. So, like if a building is decaying, you change the steel, you change the iron, you change the concrete, everything. That is Saturn. Or if you're actually doing, I don't know whether you have heard, but there is something called rasayana in Ayurveda, where your body is actually reconstructed back. Saturn. It is Saturn. So everywhere the base design of the body is restored, or base design of something is actually restored, that is Saturn. If a vessel kind of like get like this, and you tick 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 tick, bringing it back to its original shape, Saturn. Yes, because restoration and demolition are actually connected processes. Basically, a very nice restoration is also a lot of demolition. That is why Saturn reshape you in its time, cutting out all the things that is unnecessary for you and only allow you to maintain the things that are actually necessary. This is why it is respected and feared commonly, because of those parts. Restoration without demolition is Jupiter, which you call the growth. But that growth can also be very dangerous, like in cancer or something like that. That is why if Saturn is inaccessible, the energy of Saturn is inaccessible. Saturn in the 12th house, Saturn in the 8th house, particularly Saturn in the 8th house, the energy of Saturn is inaccessible, which is a very very probable thing for conditions like cancer. I'm not saying that all people have that Saturn in the 8th house will get cancer. That is a wild reading, but it enhances the probability of limitless processes in the body very high, because to break that, to stop that process, they need to access that Saturn, and if that Saturn is inaccessible, they cannot access the energy of the Saturn, and that will result in hyper activity, hyper growth without stop. Now coming to the third one, the planet that is having the third largest degree, it is called as the Bhratru Karaka. Bhratru means brother. The planet that signifies your siblings, which also means that Bhratru also means that support or help. It is actually directly connected with the third house. If you have a strong Bhadrakaraka, the people whom you helped in the previous life will come in this life to help you. If you have a weak Bhadrakaraka, which it means that you have done very less help in the last life, so you cannot actually expect that much of unexpected help in this life. So you need to cultivate the help that you will require in this life. If you have a strong Bhadrakaraka, even if you're not focusing on cultivating helps around the world, there will be people accidentally come, which because they are actually helped by you in the previous life to help you back when you are in crisis. But if the Bhadrakaraka is weak, then you need to cultivate your third house. You need to enhance your third house if you want to get helped when you're in trouble. A weak Bhadrakaraka and weak third house means generally you cannot expect help from a previous life or from this life, which means then you need to do everything alone. Bhratra, the concept, brothers and sisters are people who are supposed to give you a hand. Bhadrakaraka is the planet that gives you a hand when you are in trouble. Next is Matrakaraka. The planet with fourth highest degree is called as Matrakaraka, which states your happiness, generally your health, the inside and the outside environments of your life. So a strong Matrakaraka shows that you have experienced comforts in the previous life. And if there is no too much complications in this life, that will be the tendency that you will have. Generally, everything is based on tendency. That is means if you are actually experiencing comfort, you generally will continuously experience comfort unless a break happens. So if you have a strong fourth house, means you have experienced comforts very nicely in the previous life. And it also means that you generally have a natural tendency to be in comfortable positions in this life, because comfort is something that you clearly know from the previous life. You generally will have a better reaction towards happiness in this life. So it allows you to be sitting in comfort. If a weak Madrakaraka, you generally will begin to waver if things are very good. You cannot rest, you cannot actually experience that comfortable position because it actually make you anxious. The counterpart for that in this life is the fourth house. Matrakaraka is basically which means that the planet which signifies your mother, or the planet which decides your mother, the planet which decides the state of your mother, which means that mother is actually the primary comfort for a child. So it is actually showing how much comfort that you are actually, it actually shows how much comfort that you are actually getting by the destiny from the previous life. Yes, if these karakas are strong but in an inaccessible house, it exactly means that they are actually strong. They were actually strong. The karma of that is strong. You have a strong karma for that, but you cannot get that in this life. Which means that a strong Venus, Atmakaraka, a strong Venus in 8th house, which means that you were an amazing musician in your previous life, but that music is still inside you, but in this life you will not get the pitch to sing that. So there is nothing worse in astrology than having strong like karakas in inaccessible houses, which means that we will know that we are actually can do that, but we will never get a chance to do that. Now,
Dr. Vikas, may I ask a question? Because you said Rahu and Ketu are not considered as karakas, but what if it's in our chart that Rahu is, for example, Amatya Karaka or Pratri Karaka or Matri Karaka? What if it's written there that it is Rahu? Does it mean that we have no Pratri Karaka?
Rahu, there are only 7 karakas. If you include Rahu and Ketu, you will have 9 parts to assign. That means because there is only 7 karakas, even in the wildest of the schemes, there is only 8 karakas, not 9 karakas. One branch of the Jaimini school has got 8 karakas, but for most of the schools there is only 7 karakas. So how you assign the 9 planets to the 7 karakas?
Yes, but in this computer thing, which when I print charts, then it's always also written Rahu as a Karaka. And what should I do with this information?
Better is to change the computer, like the software.
Okay. The software, okay. I see.
Because
okay, good.
Karaka means to signify, and only light can signify things. Darkness is the absence of light. Absence of light can only signify one thing, which is the absence of the light. Any other thing is signified by light.
Okay.
Because of that, Rahu and Ketu are not considered to be part of the system of the Charakarakas.
Okay, so if my software includes this Rahu, then I should just change the software. Okay, that's
or otherwise you manually understand the degrees of the planets.
Okay,
Then reassign that.
I understand. Okay, thank
because
you.
There is a school, a offshoot of the Jaimini school, which follows that Rahu and Ketu into the Karakas. They will add Pitra Karaka after Putra Karaka and also include Rahu inside that. And then add Moksha Karaka to encompass the Ketu. I'm not saying that they are wrong, but at least I don't know how to do that.
Okay, I understand. Okay, good. Thank you.
Now, coming to the 5th one. 5th Karaka is also called as Putra Karaka. 5th highest degree planet in your horoscope. In the Rashi alone. In the Rashi alone, the 5th highest degree planet is called as the Putra Karaka. which shows the offsprings or like the ideas or like the intelligence or like how to say, like intelligence in the sense not like abilities but your capacity to plan, your capacity to execute, your capacity to make things happen, your productivity. So strong putra karaka means you are really you were really productive and you still have that tendencies of productivity inside you. So it is important for you to lead a productive life, because otherwise you will not know what to do with all that productivity. Then you will produce something terrible. And it is to be corresponded with two houses in the horoscope, which is the fifth house and the ninth house, which are both are putrastanas. Fifth house is your son or daughter. Ninth house is your son's son or son's daughter, or your daughter's son or your daughter's daughter. So the fifth and the ninth house are actually connected with the putra karaka. Now, the next one, the sixth important one, are actually called as Nyati Karakas. Nyati Karaka. Nyati Karaka is actually, Nyati means relatives or like, yeah, it is called as fifth. Some schools say Pitrakaraka, some schools say Putrakaraka. So, but generally the general tongue is actually Putrakaraka. But if it is not like to be like too much, because earlier you have mentioned, like earlier you may have noticed, the fifth house is actually the child, the ninth house is actually the father. Basically, in our concept, the child and the father are not separate. This is very nicely explained in the Christianity. The child and the father is one and the same. And so that is why like it can be called as the Pitrakaraka or Putrakaraka. Basically, but general tongue is to call it as the Putrakaraka. And the last one, or not the last one, the one before last, is the sixth, which is called as the Jnati Karaka. It shows your resources. So Jnati means the one which will come to help you. It shows your resources. That means the things that you can assemble, the people you can call, the contacts that you have, the general assets that you possess, all are Jnatikaraka, which is connected with
11th and
very similar, very close. Second house. Second house. You should understand the Karakas are only staying in the first 7 houses other than the Amatya Karaka. Amatya Karaka, because of its association as a center, it stay with the 10th house. The 11th house, the 12th house, the 8th house and the 9th house are basically not coming under the purview of the Karakas. The reason for that is like they are actually completely under our control. Like we can work on that all the time. So the predestined destiny regarding those things will be very less. Mostly it is destined by our actions of this life. Mostly the 6th, the 8th, the 12th houses, they are not settled from the previous life. It's a very, very important thing to understand. They are not settled from the previous life, which means that you are actually in clear position to adjust that. You cannot actually blame the previous life for the things that is connected with 6th, 8th, or 12th. That means your diseases, of course, it will have a previous life connection, but it is not fixed in the previous life. That is the purpose of having like a health science. Because it is not fixed from the previous life. You can actually modulate, you can actually work, you can actually clear that in this life. In the same sense, the 8th house, whether you will be transformed or whether you will be not transformed, it's not fixed in the previous life. You have an option in this life to work around that.
Doctor, because it just is not very logical for me, because I thought whatever is in the 6th, in the 8th, or in the 12th house is related to the karma, and karma is related to our past lives, to our good deeds in the past lives or bad deeds. So I thought if there's bad planets in the 8th house, it means I have a bad karma. Or if there are planets in the 8th house, I thought that means that's bad karma, and then it's because I did something wrong in past lives. Is this not true?
It is true. It is true. The difference is your 8th house is not fixed from your previous life, which means that how you are actually working with that planet in the 8th house is not going to be influenced by anything from your previous life. That means if a person is ready to transform in this life, the previous lives is not going to be able to control that or like to change that.
So that means we have a possibility to access the 8th house through
Absolutely.
transformation. If we
Absolutely, yes.
transform ourselves through
Yes.
whatever, meditation or whatever, then
Yes.
we can access also the 8th house and change the bad karma, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good to know. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes. So if the question asked by Amitabh, the planet in 6, 8, 12 is Saturn, related to the past? Mostly not. Saturn in the 6, basically 6 Saturn is very good, so he doesn't need to worry about that. The 8th or 12th Saturn, its presence in those houses is indicative of the things that we need to do in this life to change the past. You actually is going to get confused here, so I'm not trying to further explain that. So if you're actually working on Saturn in the 8th or 12th, shows the work that you need to do in this life, which can change the entire way your past is behaving to you. I will leave it there. And karakas is retrograde. Retrograde karaka means zigzag lives. So one life ascending, one life descending, then again ascending, then again descending. Like zigzag life where one life was good, the other life was bad, then the other life was good, the other life was bad.
Dr. Vikas, namaskaram. I'm just going back to what you said about 6th, 8th, and 12th house. It's very striking to me. It almost seems like the planets which are in the 6th, 8th, and 12th are almost like showing us, or it's a sign, it's showing us exactly what we need to work on in this life.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And also, once you're working on that, there is nothing actually in the previous life which prevents it from getting correct. For an example, I will tell you the next example. The last Karaka, the Dara Karaka. Dara Karaka is actually the planet that makes, that signifies, that creates your partner. Dara means partner, relationship, not just relationship, but the life partner. So if Dara Karaka is actually weak, that weakness will be there in the relationship. It is fixed. It is a prarabdha. It is already manifested. You cannot actually try to change that. You can actually try to improve that, but it will always be existing. So if the Dharakaraka planet is weak or complicated, that is a permanent weakness and complication in connection with relationship. That shows a relationship trauma that you actually carry over from the previous life. All the Karakas are actually planets of trauma or blessing, like whichever based on its strength. So if the planet that is connected or like that is manifesting your partner is weak, that weakness will be manifested in your partner or in your connection with your partner. Of course, you are free to work with that and you can try to improve that. There is nothing actually prevents you from that. But you will never nullify, you will never outrun, or like you will never unmanifest the already manifested weakness. You cannot do that. Unlike that, such a manifestation is not there for your 6th house, 8th house, or 12th house. Which means that if a planet is in the 12th house, definitely it shows a weakness that you are having in this life. But that weakness is not permanent. Or like that weakness is not prarabdha. Or that means if you are actually educating properly, if you are actually eating properly, if you are actually living properly, you can avoid that weakness. So the things that you do after your birth, with those things you will be able to completely change, 100% change that weakness. But a weakness that is coming from the karakas, you can only improve, you can only modify, you can only make better, but it will be still there. Like you can actually reduce its intensity, you can actually do everything like that, but you cannot actually completely unmanifest that because it is already happened, is already predetermined before you breathe the first prana in this life. These 7 things are predetermined before you born and breathe the first breathing. Means your father, your mother, your siblings, your people who are going to help you, your like the job that actually will do well for you, the partner, everything is heavily predetermined before you even born. You can improve that, you can change that, you can modify that, but you cannot actually nullify that. There is no way for you to cancel it out. You can change the shape, you can change the design, cannot change the method. That is not the case of the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses. They are actually changeable after your birth, like after you born. With your actions you can change. After you born, with your actions you can change the 6th, 8th, and 12th house. Can make it bad, you can make it good. For an example, if you have a very strong, very nice, amazingly placed Dharaka, even if you are not a really righteous person, if you're not like really a straight person, you will get a very nice like partner. Your actions will not actually influence the character, the strength, the ability, the inability of that person. But if you're actually not living good, if you're not actually been following like a routine or anything, your 6th house will give you disease, your 8th house will make you die early, your 12th house will make you lose position, because they are more sensitive to what you do in this life rather than what you're actually carrying forward from the previous life. Which means that a planet in the 8th house definitely shows a karma. There is no question in that. But it is not a prarabdha karma. It is not a completely manifested karma. It is not a, how to say, like sure feet karma. You can actually, if you're working on that 8th house, you're transforming according to that, you actually born again, then you will be able to change that karma, change that destiny. So it is difficult, it is very not easy, but it is not fixed. But if you have a like if you have like a atmakaraka weakness, that is very difficult to overcome. Can you modify, you can improve, you can, but still that weight of that previous karma will influence your life in this life. Whether it is worth it or not, it is up to your choices in life.
But is the assessment correct? You can work on it, but it will only change a little.
Which are actually you asking, like the karakas or the 6, 8, 12?
Both. Because if a karaka is strong in the 6th, 8th, or 12th, then it seems worth it, right, to put in the effort. But to me, I'm asking you. But if it's weak,
Any planet in the 6, 8, or 12 is worth your effort, because you're actually missing that energy. That means there is an glaring imperfection in your horoscope. If a planet is in the 8th house, you're missing that planet, you're missing that the realities of that energy. That means you're actually living 90% of life. Your perfect life is 90%. So you're actually missing a bit of, like, it is like speaking a language without the full alphabet. So even if to speak good or speak bad, you should have that full alphabets. So working on a planet that is in the 6th or 8th or 12th is always beneficial, because that is the way you're actually growing. As asked by Madam Shantala early, that is the one sure way to make sure that you are growing in life, is to work constantly in the planets that is in 6, 8, or 2.
even if they're weak.
Even if they are weak, even particularly if they are weak, Because why? Because if they are weak means and inaccessible means you never even have a hope inside that. So there is nothing much for you to fail, even if you failed.
Dr. Vikas, excuse me, I just want to make sure that I understand right, because in past lessons, you said that it's not easy to work on the planets which are in the eighth house because they're inaccessible. And now you said it's important to work on the planets which are in the eighth house. So
Yes,
is,
if you are actually looking to grow in life. Otherwise, no.
of course, everyone wants to grow, I guess.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. If you
No,
see
okay.
the world, that will come very as a wrong statement. Not all people want to grow.
Okay.
Uh, because
Yeah,
it
but
is
it's
more like an
so
ideal position, not a real
so if
position.
so if you have a weak planet in the eighth house, it's still worth to work on that planet, but you need more effort. Is that right?
That is true. You'll need
Okay,
more effort, but it is
I
still
understand.
good for working because the what is the advantage of working on a weak planet is that the results will be very significant.
Mm-hmm.
For an
Okay.
example, 10 degree of heat temperature, you're heating the water. The difference from 10 degree to 40 degree is very marked. It is a very big change.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between 98 degree and 99 degree is not so strong.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're working in a weak planet, you will see the changes very fast. It is very encouraging because you will see the differences coming. Very, very visible differences will come.
But do
But
I see this?
because it
Yeah.
is weak, a lot of effort will be there needed for that differences. But there will be definitely visible differences.
And do I see these differences also if the planet is in the eighth house?
If you are working on that, yes. But
Okay.
the
Okay.
problem, ma'am, with the eighth house is very difficult to work because eighth house early there is a connection between what we have said now and that. The seven karakas represents this life. The first seven houses represents your this life. First seven houses are actually present. This life present.
Mm-hmm.
The houses from 8 to 12 are the unknown time. Either it
Mm-hmm.
can be in the past, either it can be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So the 1 to 7 houses exist in present in this time. The house from 8 to 12 is night actually. It is on the other side. It is the unknown. First 1 to 7 is known, 8 to 12 is unknown.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And because of that, to work on the eighth house, you need to go to this unknown time.
Mm-hmm.
That is what make eighth house, working on eighth house, the most difficult thing, because you need to go to your past, work on that. You need to go to your future, work on that. If you are going to your past and work on that, that is called as pratyahara.
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to your future and work on that, that is called as dhyana. If you are working on your present, that is called as dharana. Or among them, dharana is the most easy because it is much easier to work in the present.
Mm-hmm.
Working on your past, what past? Your childhood, your previous life, your state in the womb, your lives before that. Possible, but very difficult. Working in the future, that means not that time yet not came. That actually is done by meditations. Basically, meditation is the tool to work on the future because what you actually meditate in the future, that is what actually going to be happening. So it is also very difficult. That is
So
the
through
problem.
meditation, we can work on the 8th house. Is that right? Through meditation, we can work on the 8th house, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can. We can. It has got the probability in state of like whether, if you're asking a question whether you can work on your 8th house, yes, the answer is always yes. But you ask me a question whether I can go to moon, the answer is yes. Actually, there is not much things actually prevent me from going to moon. But when it comes to the reality, the probabilities of that is so low that if I am betting, I will bet on not going to the moon 1,000 times more than the going to the moon. So somebody can, the theoretical probability of working on the 8th house is very correct, very good. And it's also beneficial. But practically doing that is difficult. We need to get like nice meditations, etc. So because if you are actually blessed with that, that is good. That is very good. But it is not easy. Particularly without, like for an example, without a bit of like spiritual work, you cannot work on the 8th house. Forget about 8th house. Like it's very difficult to work on that without that spirituality. Basically, the necessity of the spirituality itself is to work on these things that is not in the karakas, like 8, 9, 11, 12. Those 4 houses are actually the houses that need to be worked maximum with spirituality. For the rest of the houses, work in the material world is sufficient. Like it is sufficient actually.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, there is a link between Karaka and everything, because strength, for the planets, Navamsha represents the strength of them. And because of that, debilitated in the Navamsha means it is not very deep, very strong in its core, which means that over the time it will, that tendencies will like walk away from us. That means if you have an Atmakaraka which is debilitated over time, which means that over a period, the tendencies that is coming from the previous life will leave us.
And this is still something that you can work on to change?
Absolutely, yes. But if you work on, you're not going to work on the karaka aspect of that. You're actually going to work on what exactly that planet gives in the present.
Okay.
Means what karaka is actually fixed, like you cannot change that, because it is already manifested karma, prarabdha karma. From the previous life, it is already manifested, you cannot change that. So you cannot change a karaka, you can only like support it, you can only like work with it, you can only like prop it up, you cannot change it. So it will not change your past working on that karaka, but that planet will also have a present inside that. There will be a present significance for that planet, and that will change. That means if I have a bad darakaraka, Atmakaraka strong in Navamsha, weak in Rashi, means the planet that you were experiencing in the previous life, you were experiencing a lot of sufferings which were actually blessings. No, we have not. We have not spoken of Navamsha yet. So please avoid the questions connected with that. But we will explain. We will definitely speak about Navamsha. Because without speaking about Navamsha, the whole picture is not clear. But after the Karakas, like this class, the next is actually Navamsha. So
Because sorry, and you say that every karaka you actually put next to the ascendant in terms of seeing where that has been in your past and where you are now as a generality. Did I understand that correctly at the beginning or not?
Atma Karaka to ascendant.
Aha, only Atma karaka
Yes.
you.
Dara Karaka to the seventh house.
Oh, okay, like that. Yeah, okay, clear.
Yes. Each
I
one
didn't.
to connect with that present. For example, like this is that if you are having a Dara Karaka, like weak, basically means
Yeah.
that there is weakness in your relationship. However, you nicely try, there is weakness in your relationship. So you should work on your seventh house, which allows you to counteract that weakness so that you
Mhm.
can actually push back that weakness. That means that weakness will be there, but we will not be impacted by that.
Yeah, actually, talking about that, I asked it also in the WhatsApp. You said that the planet in the seventh house will try to hurt you, and then I didn't I still asked if that could be explained still a little bit. I wonder if we can just
Sure, sure.
like
The
yeah,
Marakas, Marakathivas.
exactly. Yeah.
People kill for two things basically. One is wealth, and the other is connections. There are only two major things. Maraka is actually killing. What kills you?
Okay.
There is only two basic things that actually kills you. Is the expressions, like you are actually getting killed because your energy is going out with expressions.
Yeah. So that was the
If
second house.
not, you will not get killed.
Mm.
Secondly, you're also getting killed because your energy is consumed in the relationships.
Mhm.
The lesser the relationship, the more you will experience. Like if you actually see like a person in the Himalayas who is absolutely out of relationship, you will see them getting younger and younger because the
Mhm.
consumption of energy is
Mhm.
very much less. So the Marakas are actually the houses which uses the maximum amount of energy,
Mhm.
which
And how do the
eventually
house?
leads for your demise,
Sorry again.
which will eventually leads to your demise.
Yeah, clear.
See, the
Um,
circumstance in which you will get killed is eighth house. The
mhm.
factors that leading to that is actually the second and the seventh house.
Mhm. But then is the planets in the second and in the seventh house that are the planets also the planets that will try to hurt you?
No,
Because
no, no, no.
oh, then I misunderstood, I
Because
think.
yes, Maraka is actually a frequency. For example, second
Okay.
house frequency,
Yes. That
eighth
I
house
understand.
frequency. So
Okay,
a
perfect.
planet in that house does not hurt you, but that
Okay.
frequency of that house will hurt you.
That is then I had a misunderstanding. Thank you very much. I get it now. Sorry, just one more thing. So, and for the first one, which is compared to ascendant, so you always look at the degree of the house that you're comparing each of the karakas to, and if that degree is lower, then that means that. So, if the karaka degree is higher,
No, 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 no.
or how was that, or is that just the strength?
You should actually get the karakas from the degrees.
Yes.
From the like degree only determines which is
Which?
actually which karaka.
Okay. Yes.
So that will actually the answer of that question will be a planet.
Yeah. Yes.
Then
Exactly.
you evaluate the strength of that planet along with the situation of that house.
Okay, good. Yeah, so you just evaluate then the strength of the planet with the strength or the position of the house.
Strength and
Okay, thank
situation of the planet and strength and situation of the house. Compare them
you.
together.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Dr. Vikas, I have been contemplating, and I should preface, I have a question from previous classes. So since we had a blank pause, I thought maybe there's some room, but I'll let you decide whether to ask questions from a previous class.
If the previous class in this basic course, yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget not to ask. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Questions from the advanced class. Sorry about that. I apologize. It's like I got up at 4:30 this morning, so my brain is not in the best place.
Don't worry, please ask.
So I've been thinking about how each planet will look retrograde and combust because your discussion of some retrograde planets and some combust planets, I started to think, would it be okay, like, to ask about as we go along in each class? Because could I ask at the end of the class about this planet retrograde, this planet combust? Just so, because I'm trying to understand these, and these planets are often retrograde and combust for a lot of people, and I'm not quite sure how to think about it for each planet.
Yes, sure.
So we talked about, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, please,
We
please.
talked about Mars combust, so I understand Mars combust, but I don't understand Mars retrograde.
Yeah. So it is easier to say Mars retrograde. What exactly Mars forward? So to understand a planet's retrograde actions, we need to understand the forward actions of that planet. So Mars forward is a soldier. Mars forward is a soldier who is courageous, who is like determined, who has got his orders, who is very efficient, like that. Mars retrograde is an assassin who is courageous, who has got his orders, who is very efficient in his work. A Mercury forward is actually a person who is very logical, who is very like who constructively create a reality, who is very communicative, who is like that. So like a scientist or like an IT professional who actually create a world, but with very strong logic and very strong basis, like a software engineer who creates a new application. That is Mercury forward. Mercury retrograde is a person who is very organized, who is actually very communicative, who create a new reality, a magician. Mercury retrograde is a magician. So I don't know how to explain this further. Like the only difference between a planet that is forward and retrograde is the difference between conventional and unconventional. Forward, conventional. Retrograde, unconventional. Strong Jupiter forward, a priest. Strong Jupiter retrograde, a different priest. A priest who is not priestly. Retrograde determines the way that energy is going to flow. Is it going to flow in the direction of the world or in the opposite direction where the world is moving?
When you say a priest that is unpriestly, do you mean in character or in the way that they work?
In the way that they work.
Can you give
Every
this?
planet is actually either neutral or strong when they are retrograde. So retrograde is never weak. Why? Because in the unconventional, there is no weakness, because weakness is assessed in the conventional way. If you have the energy to make something unconventional, then it is never weak. Like you cannot actually do unconventional things without the excessive energy of that planet. So a retrograde planet is always considered strong to neutral.
Could you
I
give
have
a quick examples also for the other planets? So you gave now for Mercury, Jupiter, and Mars, please, like just in one word.
Um, yeah, like a person who is having like strong Venus forward, a financial expert, somebody who is very aware of finances, person who has got strong Venus retrograde is like a dealer, like somebody who deals in the out of market places. Jupiter I have already told. Venus, Saturn. Strong Saturn forward is somebody who is digging the earth to get minerals. Strong Saturn retrograde is somebody who is searching for treasures, like hidden treasures. One of the closest professions for retrograde Saturn is archaeologist. Somebody who is digging the past. Strong Saturn forward, somebody is digging the future. Strong Saturn retrograde, somebody who is digging the past. Detective, strong Saturn retrograde. Administrator, strong Saturn forward. That are the only planets. Sun and Moon don't go retrograde. So it's complete.
Dr. Vikas, to follow up on Elizabeth's question. So say you have the retrograde makes it strong, but does the dignity of the planet determine whether it will be an honorable effort? Like a Mars retrograde in its own sign might be an assassin for good reasons, like to protect the president or something. But a
Yeah.
Mars
Yes.
retrograde in bad dignity might be somebody who is like a hitman in the underworld or something like that. Is that a possible interpretation?
Yes, based on that Mars's rulership of the houses. If that Mars is ruling the 12th house and that person become an assassin, that person become like a serial killer. Or if that Mars is ruling the 10th house, then that person assassin, a government appointed assassin to kill somebody. Combust means the energy goes inside. A retrograde is unconventional. We generally have a feeling, the world says unconventional is negative. So yeah, in that sense, it can be sometimes considered as negative. It is not negative, but it can be considered as negative.
Doctor, is there
So
anything sorry, I have one last question and maybe it's irrelevant, but is there anything to say about the degrees of Rahu and Ketu? I mean, they're not among the Karakas, you said, they're out. But is there anything, do their degrees define anything? I guess yes, but do you know?
not so much
Okay.
other than their position, because Rahu and Ketu don't have different degrees.
No. They have the same degrees, of course, but we're in degrees position within the house they're in. So rather they are on 12 or 20. That I
No,
meant.
no,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
Even for the people who calculate Rahu and Ketu, they actually calculate its degree by minusing it from 30, because Rahu and Ketu don't have a forward movement. They are always retrograde. Basically, there is nothing conventional about Rahu and Ketu. So that is why they are.
No, I don't mean like conventional retrograde, but just generally, the way the degrees and minutes
Yes,
define
ma'am.
the
That means,
order
for an
of the planet.
example, for people who consider Rahu as a Matyakaraka, if earlier question asked by Madam Elizabeth about Rahu as an Amatyakaraka, for even those people who consider Rahu for the Karakas, they will not actually take the correct degree of Rahu. They will take the Rahu's degree by minusing it from 30.
Okay.
That means 3 degree of Rahu is like 27 degree of other planets. 4th degree of Rahu is like 26 degree of other planets. So for them itself, they will not take the direct degree of Rahu. So direct degree of Rahu is not taken anywhere.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Combusted. Combusted basically means something going deeper. Mercury combusted, amazingly intelligent person who will not speak anything. The Mercury goes inside, which means that the internal communication of that person will be so perfect. So they will actually be very good at speaking with themselves, which make them very nice at analysis and everything, but they will not speak that outside. Combusted simply means that the light is not going to come outside. It is only staying in inside. Venus combusted, very nice musician who never sings. Saturn combusted, an amazing administrator who is so ordered and everything, but never come to work for that. Combusted Jupiter, super strong awareness, but self-centered, not going outside. Combusted actually take a planet inside. It will lose its external expression. It will stay on its own internal expression.
There's one more planet left, yes? I can't remember.
Mars combusted is homework. You think for yourself how it will be. Generally, in the sense of astrology, you just say one example of one planet. If the people cannot actually connect that with the next planet, that means they have missed the classes of the planets. If your awareness regarding the planet is strong, one example you will be able to associate that to the next planet naturally. Yes. Thank you.